Welcome back to Edgewater Essentials Virtual Forum. Next up, we have Amy Meadows, an expert on visual merchandising and window displays, as well as much more. And she's going to give us advice on how to get attention to your business and how to stay on trend this summer.
And yes, I still remembering that unmuting thing. So hi, everybody. Delighted to be here today. And I actually logged on at 11 because I wanted to be able to hear everything that everyone else was saying. And you know, when Michael Corrigan was talking about storytelling and branding, and I'm like, yes. And when Stephanie was talking about scheduling and again, branding, it's like, yes. So I definitely want to be able to address some of those same issues, but also talk in greater detail about the idea of visual merchandising. So let me just pull this up here. Okay, so just a few additional details about my background in visual merchandising. I was the head of window display, holiday, flower show, all the crazy over-the-topness at Marshall Fields and Macy's downtown for about 25 years. I have been on the faculty at Columbia College teaching visual merchandising for quite a while as well. And one of the things that has provided great comfort from a personal discipline point of view is the fact that good design is somewhat foundational, and consumer behavior, while it's always changing, we can identify some things that will always work. And then we had 2020. And it's one thing, I think, if you want to say that retail is always changing and we need to adapt. And then there's just kind of throwing your playbook in the fire pit. Because here I was now looking at how would I instruct my clients, my students to adapt. I get kind of I hate saying return to normal, because there is no return to normal. It's moving, in my opinion, it is moving ahead to a new normal. In this past time, and again, as it says, experts say that it takes 66 days to form a new habit. Well, let me tell you, I formed quite a few new habits, some of them good, some of them bad. I hope I will always continue to get my coffee subscription service. And yeah, I just did Zumba in my living room. So if I'm a little flushed, that's why. And I'll probably still continue to drive up and go at Jewel. But also, I cannot wait to be the customer. I cannot wait to enter the store, to weave and learn and see and touch and feel all of those things that I've been missing. We're still seeing that 79% of all retail sales are closed in the physical environment. So say what you want about buy online and curbside, all of that, it's still about being in the store. When I talk about things that would have never crossed my lips in terms of here's what you should do. Use your windows as billboards? Oh, heck no. No, it was always, to me, that window was a sacred space. That was, You didn't post prices there. You set the stage. You didn't overdo it with lettering or information. The idea was to get someone to stop in their tracks and enter. Well, again, whoop, totally inverted. And in fact, it would be the idea of there was a terrific store in Evanston where they literally had a window shopping concierge. You could schedule a time to go in, point, they would bring the items out. You would go, okay, great, or no, maybe not, another. Now, will this continue? No, but it's, I mean, maybe not, maybe to some extent. But this is an example of how so many things that I held to be true really got upended. One thing that has not changed, and I want to reinforce in the interest of semantics, if nothing more, visual merchandising is not the same as display. I realize I may use them interchangeably during this presentation, but don't be fooled. Visual merchandising is a very specific strategy that includes doing the displays. It includes dressing the mannequins. It includes the tablescaping. But visual merchandising has one goal, and that is to drive sales. That is what it is about. And that is also another reason that when we talk about visual merchandising and how much money how much time and effort you are going to budget for that, it's a pretty slippery return on investment. It's hard to say like, yes, I put those candles in the front window and they were all sold out by the end of the day. You may have put them in the window and they may have caught someone's attention, but they brought them in and bought something else. So again, driving traffic and building sales. All right, less than 5 seconds. Okay, really now they're saying we have about 3 seconds to catch a customer's eye. That means goldfish pay attention more than we do. Okay, so you have really got to grab them, that power of the first impression. But what's new now and what is going to remain moving forward is it is not simply making that first impression at the street level, on the sidewalk, in the store. It is when they are scrolling. It is when no, Michael, I don't think I'm going to be on TikTok anytime soon, although I probably really do need to think about it. But your presence, your messaging, your branding, your appearance on all the different social media channels, platforms, as well as your website, all of those count. For simplification purposes, I've broken this down into 3 categories, and I love alliteration. So we're going to go with cleanliness, consistency, and creativity. Cleanliness, that's clutter, okay? That's everything from sweeping your sidewalk to how old is that fundraising flyer that's taped to your side window? That's can I see in literally? As well as any kind of visual noise that may exist online. Consistency, we can call that congruence or cohesion. When working downtown and a vendor or someone would say to us, oh, well, use this in the window to promote this. And it may be a banner or a box or something. We're like, no. They're like, oh yeah, and it's like, no. See, it's our name on the door. It's maybe your product, but it's our name on the door. We didn't say brand then. It's just like, but we own this. This is what we stand for. This is our level of execution. And adherence to excellence that have built our brand over time. Then last, but by no means least, is creativity. Okay, that's when I say that, that is when I'll get a lot of deer in the headlight moments from businesses. They're like, wait, what? I have to be artistic on top of this? And honestly, if someone came to me after paying the bills, buying the merchandise, paying the rent, doing all of this, running the business, and said, oh, and by the way, make sure you're doing something attention getting and creative and cool on top of everything else you're doing, I would have a really tough time with that. So where can you start with some of these strategies? What are some of the still tried and true moving forward concepts for effective visual merchandising? One, our consumer brain has not changed. The association that we make between space, meaning the air around an object, and its value. All right. I don't expect, when I see a window like this, I see a presentation like this, I see crowded shelves, I'm expecting a bargain. It has been put forth as a bargain. It is crowded, and I don't know how many things I'm going to knock over on the way to get to that bargain. But if you think about that, if you have high value, high price, higher priced items that are special, treat them as such. Make sure that you've left a lot of space around those items. Also understanding that if you're putting more bargain or value items that are, have a lot of space, people might think they're less affordable than they actually are. So that's just kind of a balance that you'll want to think about striking. When I am asking you, if we were to walk through your store or execute an assessment of your businesses, because even though I worked in a corporate context for the majority of my career, my passion is independent businesses. They are the heart and soul of our towns, our communities. And I live for the chance to take what we did on State Street and share that on Main Street. Okay. That if people think that what we did was done with unlimited budgets and hundreds of people and just more creative inspiration than you could possibly shake a stick at, I am here to tell you that could not be any further from the truth. If someone were to say to me, ooh, don't you wish someday that someone would give you a design challenge and say, here, Amy, do this. And by the way, here's a blank check and you can do whatever you want. I would run in fear. I would run in terror, because I don't know of any creative professional that likes that blank slate. We like a challenge. And so, but you also want to have a plan. One plan that always works if you're trying to decide now, what should I feature? What should I put in my newsletter? How can I organize my merchandise assortment? What can I promote that will look a little different? Color. Choose a color story. Choose all the same color. Choose contrasting colors. Choose just black and white. That's always a good starting place. Edit by item. You know, this month I'm only showing watches. This month I'm focused on briefcases. This month I want to do that. You notice I'm saying this month? Yeah, because ideally that street presence, that facade, that storefront should change about every 4-6 weeks max. Okay. Otherwise, depending on, you know, are you on the route to CTA? Are you at a bus stop? Who's seeing your storefront the same way at the same time of day every day? It just becomes landscape and wallpaper. So yeah, mix it up. Edit by occasion or season. One thing that, again, that Stephanie Schwab mentioned where I'm like, yes, is have that plan in place. All right. Pet peeve, February 15th, March 18th, July 5th. They're not movable holidays. Be ready for them. There's no need to be surprised. Have a plan in place so that your themes, your decors, your color, anything that is tying that to a specific day or holiday is, boom, really be on top of your game for that. Okay, so you've done all that. Yay, you're perfect, you're fabulous. Now what? A lot of stores, so you got my attention on the storefront. I'm like, I am going in, I am shopping with them. Or maybe I saw your Instagram stories or your reels or your Facebook posts, and I want to come inside and I want to do that. And maybe you have created this trend zone here in the front. We think of that sometimes referred to as the decompression zone. Last year, it was mostly the sanitizing zone. And I saw lots of businesses remove that. They had to do a clear path that went you entered in one way and exited the other way. Maybe your dressing rooms were closed. Maybe you had no bathrooms. Maybe you were really pressed for space or capacity. I was shopping this past weekend in Indianapolis, and I made an appointment for 4 of us the week ahead to be able to shop. And yeah, I felt like, uh-oh, what if I took up 4 places and we don't buy anything? We bought plenty and it was fine, but it was still just kind of that commitment and a behavior, customer behavior, consumer behavior once you're in the space. If you are crowded on the selling floor, look up. You have probably got space on top of your fixtures for visuals, additional decor, especially at holidays when the natural inclination might be to, you know, place trees on the floor, and then it becomes even more crowded, etc. So do think about that overhead space, because that was being leveraged more and more strategically. Then there are, of course, some practical considerations, right? Is your lighting focused? And is your lighting focused, meaning are your light bulbs not burnt out? What about where will I put my purse or my packages on the countertop? And let me just toss this in as just something to think about. Stores now, shops with whom I am working, are really reevaluating, and I encourage and invite you to reevaluate for yourself the amount of space that your point of sale or your cash wrap is taking in the store. The area required for completing that transaction is now about the size of your iPad. And maybe that's something that you walk over to with the customer or do that. But when we look at square footage and we look at the value, you know, what are the fixtures and activities, et cetera, that are paying the rent, your countertop, that thing, that's a lot of real estate for what is essentially back of house. You're not turning a profit on that. So do think about that. Is there a feature area or a trend zone? Where are you showing the customer what you're super excited about? What do you want to share with me that is brand new or has come back because it's totally popular, or that I really cannot leave without purchasing? I also want to know if your business name is inside the store. And as I am leaving the store, is there something on the door that says, "Thank you for shopping, come back"? That's my last view. That's my, you know, that's my last shot. That's your last chance to make that first impression. So think about that as well. So back to the trio of alliterative challenges: cleanliness, consistency, creativity. This is also then something that a worksheet, a toolkit that will be coming out, is going to be mailed to attendees, because some of these I've added compliance and communication. Okay. Yeah, I'm a total alliterative nerd. So think about these things. Look at all of these. I mean, compliance is ADA, but it's, you know, it's just now with COVID or past COVID, what are we doing about access and communication and signing? Do I know when your store is open? That clutter, the congruence. Oh, look at this. Note the number of different signage applications. Awnings, dimensional letter. I was doing some work with a hair salon. Okay. They're special. I was working with a hair salon. Okay. Now, I kid you not, there was one lettering style above the awning, another on the awning itself, another logo on the glass, another logo on the business cards inside, and yet another one for the customer loyalty card. I was like, no, because they all sent a different message. Each font style, each color, where there was cursive or kind of dated, or heaven forbid someone's using Comic Sans, sorry, but oops. And these are things that you're just like, no. So think about that, because I can guarantee you there's some parts of the collateral, meaning your shopping bags, your receipts, something that maybe didn't get updated with the last website update, etc. And then finally, where do we get all of those? Where do we find our ideas? What are our resources? Okay, Pinterest. Oh my God, I know it started out for like bridesmaids and casseroles, but it's amazing. It is an amazing treasure trove of ideas for you to choose from. Etsy, yes, they sell stuff, but I love how they curate product. Here's the Father's Day gifts. Here's some stuff for, you know, little girls who love puppies, things like that. Smart Retailer is a terrific magazine, and not just because I write for them. That's really great, and you can subscribe to that, and I'm pretty sure it's free. So why not? Retail Minded is one of the industry leaders. Nicole Lineback Riley is a frequent speaker panelist, and you should probably follow her online. Mannequin Madness is fabulous if you want to go down that rabbit hole. Uline, I'm not currently using Uline. I use Blick. I use Oriental Trading Company. A lot of the stuff that I use for my displays are cheap and cheerful items that are used in quantity. And that's everything from flagging tape to embroidery hoops to birch logs to stuff. There are magical, expensive resources for display, but 9 times out of pedestrian items. I really get a kick out of that. And then, that is it. I don't know why I didn't put my information on there, but I think that'll be coming up in the follow-up. So this concludes my report. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much. I do have some questions to ask you. The first is, on a personal note, where do you find your inspiration?
Instagram. I spend way too much. Well, too much. Can you spend too much time on Instagram? I don't know. But also I look to see what artists are doing. And when we used to have a board up in the office, and one would be windows that have been done that other people have done that inspire us. And then there are others is like, we're not there yet, but this is going to happen someday. And the other thing is for people not to beat themselves up. If they can, I remember thinking, if I never do a bridal window again in my life, it will be too soon. I mean, can I please do Valentine's Day without red hearts? Can I, do all of that? Which is sometimes just saying, okay, you know what? It's all about green right now. Let's just do green.
Sure. You actually hit on what my next question was. Do you go with the traditional and familiar red hearts for Valentine's Day, florals for spring, or do you think it's better to go a different route?
That depends on what you're selling. Okay. If you are selling, let's say you're selling really avant-garde, creative, one-of-a-kind, handmade gifts for Valentine's Day, I would not expect to see a Hallmark level presentation. I would want that same type of artistic interpretation. But if you are selling candy, flowers, you are all the bells and whistles for this is how it's done, then absolutely. There's nothing wrong with tradition. It got us where we are. So I think you just have to, and what is your customer going to respond to?
Sure.
Are they going to go, oh yeah, that looks great? Or are they going to go like, what the heck were you thinking?
The next question, you touched on seasons and holidays. How often should I change my windows?
What's that?
How often should I change my window displays?
Every 4 to 6 weeks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And should I update my window displays during business hours?
Personally, I think so. I think, and also just the chance to do a time-lapse video that you can post on social media, it attracts attention. It's movement in your store. But that's up to you. I mean, you have to make that decision based on traffic and timing and all of that.
Do you have any local businesses that you use as an example for someone who's like really doing things right?
Oh, goodness. There are lots of places doing things right. And I think actually, so if attendees start to follow me on Instagram or my Windows Matter Facebook post, that's where you will see businesses that I'm highlighting or saying, wow, this is, what a great job they did on this.
Excellent. And then the last question,
Mhm.
How do I hire someone to help me?
So the beauty of that form that's coming out, that can be a self-audit, or maybe you want to team up with someone. Every business, everyone attending and everyone should make a commitment, one, to benchmark. Who's your competition and what are they doing that you like or that you're glad that you don't? That's one thing. And using that form and just having a buddy to go stand across the street with you. But then when you're talking about, but then you can hire people like me who will meet with you, do a walkthrough, who can be the customer, but the customer with the toolkit to solve the problem. Does that make sense? It's really hard to be objective about the place where you practically probably spend more hours each day than in your home.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, that is all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to
Thanks for
be
the
a
invite.
part of Edgewater Essentials. And yes, we will be distributing that worksheet for folks so they can have their own checklist to get started. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Cool. Thank you. Bye.